missed tackles, 4 missed tackles, 5 missed tackles. You wouldn't have got in there.
I made more plays than all of Let's get what it is. He's so hurt.
Another great show as always for you, Commanders family. Preseason week 1 is in the books, which means we got some highlights for you. And I'm sitting down with number 4. That's right, linebacker Frankie Louvu pulls up and joins the show. And our guys are answering some questions about their joint practice experience. Hey, Commanders family.
It all starts
now. Exclamation point!
He looks terrible.
Welcome in, Commanders family, to Command Center. We got a full crew here with us. Brian Coble Jr. here with Logan Paulson, Sean Springs, London Fletcher, Santana Moss in the mouth of the South, Fred Smoot. Fellas, it feels good because we finally got football back. Preseason week 1 is done against the New York Jets. Sean, I'm going to start with you, man. How great was it to see our guys out there?
It was awesome. You know, going into this first week, you want to know what you get with the team, and golly, Coach Quinn and the staff had those guys prepared. They looked like a well-oiled machine, and the guys went out there and played well. And I was excited to see. It's just really good to see that for the first time right here in Washington, a team that's ready to play.
You know, it was a preseason game, so I don't really put too much on it. But I think for the most part, for the most part, I want to see these guys be productive. You know what I'm saying? And I was happy that they got out of there unscathed when it comes to injuries. Yep. And then they was sound. They looked like a team. You know, so something that Sean just talked about. They look like a well-efficient team that had been coached well. So I want to see them take that and move on to the second week and see how good they look this week coming up.
Yep. I was happy to see the young guys. And when I say young guys, I'm talking about rookies. Imagine this, the first time they ever walked on the NFL field, that was the other day. All right? And they walked on there and they looked like pros. Jaden Daniels looked like a pro. Ben Sinnott looked like a pro. So they're telling me right now they're ahead of the curve. They got a long way to go, but they're ahead of the curve. And I think you got to attribute it to coaching. Like the coaching is getting these young guys ready to play. And I know it, we ain't overreacting. It's just the preseason. But I love to see that because I went into some preseason and we looked like we wasn't ready. They went into the preseason looking and feeling like they was ready.
You talked about not looking like ready to play. Yeah. That's what you mean. So they were a well-oiled machine. Yeah. Not a lot of substitution issues. I didn't see any issues. We didn't have 12 men on the field.
Not a lot of penalties.
Not a lot of penalties. But again, just I was impressed with the offensive efficiency, especially considering how we came into the game. Questions about our offensive line because they were banged up, missing 2 starting tackles. For Jaden Daniels and the offense to operate the way they did in that first series, to come out of there with the touchdown, capped off with the run by Jaden into the end zone. I think you got to be very happy and extremely pleased with what we saw.
Yeah, for me, I think it's the physicality, right? I think they came out, ran the ball well. You got B-Rob running downhill, Austin Eckler running downhill. The interior of that offensive line getting after it. Defensively, they're running to the football fast and aggressive. The energy, it just feels different. Fred, you're always talking about the newness. Yes. I felt it, you know what I mean? Schematically, it's day 1, day 2 install. But guys are playing fast. They're excited to be out there. And even though it's new, they're playing with their hair on fire, and that's great.
And guys, as Tanner so eloquently put it, it's just preseason.
We do. But football is back.
Football is back, which means we got some highlights to watch. So now let's get into our can't miss moments presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. Now this first one was on the first drive. Jaden Daniels to De'Ami Brown.
Downtown.
Looking like you, boy.
De'Ami Brown. you gotta love him putting that elbow right there, not letting that guy get there. And he made this catch at practice.
No doubt.
So he's bringing it to the game.
One thing that we haven't talked about is how he held the safety down in the middle of the field. Yeah. He didn't let the safety know where he wanted to go with the football until the last minute. Yeah. Just that looked like a veteran throw right there by Jaden.
And Jaden looked good, man. Jaden not only made that throw, but right after that, got into the end zone for his first touchdown. Look at that. Nice and easy. Even fake me out, Logan.
Let's talk about the tight ends blocking here, guys. The tight ends are blocking here, man. They're making this happen, right? I could have run this ball, and I'm not that fast. So good for them. Tight ends making it happen.
Logan, you wouldn't have got in there.
I walked in, man.
You know what? Speaking of Logan, there was somebody rocking that 82 that looked kind of like a Logan Paulson, and it's our rookie Sinnott. Look at this. It's going to take more than one guy to get him down.
Hey, usually you had to pay for a bus ticket to get on that ride like that, right there. That's what you want.
And this is when you don't want Smoot to be a teammate because he ain't going to help you short the
He's a safety right here. He's a safety in this look.
You need your teammates to corral this guy.
Watch this safety right here. Whoop, that's a Fred Smith.
Yeah, that's how y'all going to do me. That's how y'all going to do me.
3 missed tackles, 4 missed tackles, 5 missed tackles.
And look, since we're talking defense, I'm going to let you take this one because we did make a defensive play. Look at this sack right here from your boy.
Well, this right here is the coverage and rush working together. He had nowhere to go with the football. Excellent job on the back end. Allowed the pass rushers to get there, and they brought they run a little bit of game.
Yeah, they were able to stop.
Benny Potaaie, he was able to get that sack.
Fellas, some things to be excited about here, especially the play of quarterback Jaden Daniels. He talked to the media after the game. Let's take a listen.
I mean, it's just something that throughout practice, throughout the time I've been here, that Cliff was like, hey, if you don't like this look, check it. So it came out in a certain look, and we were running a play. I didn't like it, so I just checked it.
What was it supposed to be originally?
It was a screen, but everybody's within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, so it was going to pretty much be a dead play. So I just checked it and gave my guy a chance to make a play. Yeah, I feel like it just gives everybody confidence moving forward. Obviously, not just me, but be able to connect with Diami down the field. I know that gave him confidence. He made a tough catch later on a curl route from Jeff. But just seeing the little steps that we need to take in order to be successful and execute at a high level.
Since I got the radio crew here with me, you were at joint practices, you were on the field on game day. Let's talk about it. So first, to start joint practices, you got to be out there, man. Some heavy hitters. Aaron Rodgers out there, Sauce Gardner out there. How cool is it to see our guys compete against that level of talent?
It was awesome to see that, and they say you practice like you
play.
Like you practice.
Right.
So the deep ball that we saw Jaden Daniels throw to De'Ami Brown in the game on Saturday, he made a similar type of throw in the joint practice against the New York Jets in the 7-on-7 portion of that practice. And I thought, just watching the way all of our quarterbacks played, you saw a carryover from the joint practices to the ball game. I thought they all had a great command of the offense. The fact that Coach Kingsbury allowed them to make some audibles at the line of scrimmage based on what they saw from the defense. Not a lot of offenses will give you that type of freedom. So for him to give that ability to his quarterbacks to get them in a better run plays and also better pass plays based on what the defense that the New York Jets were giving them, I thought from the joint practices and what we saw in the game on Saturday, it was outstanding start for this defense. I mean, for this offense.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on that, I think it's great that the quarterbacks seem to have this mastery of it, right? Because it takes a lot to check a play, right?
Yes.
You have to kind of really understand, like, this is the look that we're looking for. And it's funny, we were talking about joint practice, but in the practice on, what was that, Tuesday last week, they were talking about how we got 0 in the red zone and we checked the speed option. We got 0 in the red zone, really cover 1, and then Sam Hartman checks it. And so the fact that your 4th-string guy understands the offense to that level where he could be making plays and doing stuff like that is fantastic.
I think you and I were talking on the sideline with that play. Logan and I were talking on that play, and I was like, man, that's a tough play to defend from a defensive standpoint, because you can't be right as a defensive end. If you go with the quarterback, he's just going to pitch it to the running back. If you opt to go to the running back, quarterback's going to take it up inside. So I almost wish they would have saved that play. Say that for Tampa Bay, but the fact that teams know we have that in our repertoire and our arsenal is something they have to prepare for.
And then that in conjunction with the Jaden Daniels check, right? I know there was a little bit of controversy about whether or not he should have done it, but I think the understanding he's showing, right? It's man coverage. The screen that we got called isn't the right call. Let's check to something I like. And again, like the ability, the physical ability is there, but I think the mental gymnastics of it, understanding the coverage, understanding what's good, understanding how to maximize this offensive possession, it just speaks to how well Cliff's installed this offense for sure.
And Logan, you mentioned that check. I want to get back to that, but first, in order to get to that point in the game, it's all about joint practice. Like you said, you practice how you play. You got to see Jaden out there. Now, we've seen him against our team. We've seen him against the Burgundy and Gold. We haven't seen him against a new team. What was his poise and confidence like during those joint practices that first time seeing a new NFL team?
Well, I thought, again, the initial portion of the practice, 7-on-7, he was the Jaden we saw. A lot of hit, I think, Zach Ertz on a nice pass, things like that. When the teams got together, when it was our entire 11 men on offense and 11 men on the Jets defense, it kind of, because we were banged up from the offensive line standpoint, you couldn't really see the offense fully function the way you wanted to function. And there was like, okay, what are they going to look like once the game starts? But for our offensive line to be able to run the ball the way they did, they blocked extremely well. I think only gave up 1 sack. So it was good to see those guys execute the way they did in that ball game.
I think it's also a good testimonial to Cliff too. The fact that he understands this is a little bit of a weakness. How do I call a game to maximize this group? And I understand it's day 1, day 2, day 3 install, so there's not a lot in. But saying I can get a run here, I can get a screener, we can do quick game and not leverage those guys. Chris Paul started started 30 snaps at tackle.
Yeah,
and
it looked good.
And you didn't even know, right? It wasn't even an issue because he understands how to deleverage that group. So I think in terms of skill set, in terms of the rhythm of calling a game, that's really nice to see from Cliff, even if it's just the first preseason game.
We got to talk a little defense. I'm here. But I will say this: when the first couple series of that defensive unit by the starters, I thought they flew around to the football, swarmed to the ball, got out the field on third downs. I think we had, 2 straight 3-and-outs to start that game. So Joe Witt Jr. had to be extremely happy with that. There were some things that happened where the quarterback was able to hurt us on scrambles, but that was just, hey, guys need to be a little bit more disciplined in their pass rush lanes. Things you can clean up. So from that standpoint, I'm sure Coach is happy. Want us to run. I would say we need to play a little bit better run defense, and that's more about guys fitting where they need to fit and an opportunity to do that in this ball game.
And I think also early on the young guys look great. Like Mike Sanderstedt looked fantastic. Jordan McGee before he got hurt looked great. I think there was a lot of really positive things. Guys playing fast to the football. Percy Butler being physical in terms of tackling that big back. Man, he put his face in there. So lots of really positive. And like you said, Fletch, they can clean it up, but I think the intensity was there for him. That's all you can ask for.
And you talk about guys flying around the field. Number 4 was everywhere. Frankie Louvu, being a guy that's already proven, came in and played like his life depended on it. And it was great to see Frankie Louvu do that. I caught up with him after training camp today and got to talk to the guy about how his first game for the Burgundy and Gold went. It's time for the best seat in the house, presented by SeatGeek. Your ticket to great Commanders seats. It's all about building that chemistry and camaraderie, and there's no way to do that like for a defense, like going against an offense like the Miami Dolphins. Now, we know it's preseason. We know we're not going to see the guys a lot. But in joint practices, you're going to see them boys.
Oh, yeah, we're going to see them boys.
What tests do the Miami Dolphins face for you in this defense?
I think they do a lot of they say like a track star team, man. They got all this speed on their offense. They do a lot of these eye candies, moving a lot of speed motions, and us as a defense, we just got to lock in on what we do here. It's just another practice for us. Take it to Miami, have a good day, we compete, and by Saturday we're gonna see him. But man, I'm excited to see to go against these guys, and let's get to it.
And you have a game. You have this preseason game already. So now you're in week 2. You guys have been on that field. What changes for this week, right? What changed this week after that game? Because now you have actual film going against guys which you guys can see. What has changed this week?
Man, I feel like guys just tackling. On defense, I can speak, man. Just, a lot of missed tackles and just the little things. Don't make the little things big. Very simple things, man. Guys just get in their playbooks a little bit more, seeing things from the film now like, oh, I messed that up, my footwork and this and that. So just taking that corrections from the Jets game and moving it on to Miami, man, I think the guys will kind of see and be better at what they may last.
And I got to ask you about Jaden, man. You've played against a lot of quarterbacks. You've seen a lot of guys in a lot of different positions. You got to see him get that first drive, get that touchdown, man. What did you see from your boy Jaden Daniels that made you say, you know what, this guy got something?
Man, he had very poised, man. He's in the pocket. His feet is calm. His eyes, he goes through progressions. And dudes I've been doing that for and I don't mistake him because he's in here doing, at 5 a.m. preparation. And, if you're confident in your work, man, you're going to see your fruitions come to life. So for him to do that on the field, man, I wasn't surprised because I know he do it in the practice. He in the weight room, he in the meeting room. So, what you put in is what you're going to get out. So, man, he's very poised, man. I respect him as our quarterback and, man, as a person as well. So very cool, but man, I'm excited to see his career, man, and this year how he's gonna go, man. We gonna make a lot of noise for sure.
Frankie, we're all excited to see you guys all get off this year. And last question for you, man: what can the Commanders fans expect when they see y'all this Saturday taking on the Miami Dolphins?
Man, just the guys that fly around hit. A lot of noise, a lot of chit-chatting, it's going to be a lot of talking, but at the end of the day, man, we're going to try and get this dub. We is going to get this dub, so we're going to stick to it. Like Nip say, man, it's not a race, a marathon, and stick to the script. We good.
Frankie, man, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you, man. Brian Coble Jr. here with number 4, our linebacker, Frankie Louvu.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure catching up with Louvu. The linebacker is entering season number 7 and his first with Washington. Throughout his career, Louvu has recorded over 300 tackles and 20 sacks. Now, during his time in Carolina, Louvu shined in back-to-back seasons, putting up over 100 tackles. Excited to see Louvu and this linebacker room bring the Thunder and Lightning to Miami this Saturday. Fellas, we heading to Miami. Joint practice continues. Tan, I'm going to start with you because you missed the 305.
Yeah.
What are you looking to see in this week's joint practice?
Well, you think about it, we in the second preseason game, and then, I mean, not only the game, but the joint practice, you get a chance to go out there or go against some live action. Miami is going to be one of those teams that's going to show you a lot of speed, offensively and defensively. You know, for our defense standpoint, you got probably 2 or 3 of the best wide receivers in the league out there. How they match up against those guys offensively, knowing where they stood at last year, it's a top 10 defense. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be showing us some of that top 10 status in this practice. So I'm hoping that we can go out there and compete in the practice standpoint and that transfer over to the game on Saturday.
And for me, when Miami, they're used to playing their defense. Miami's defense used to playing against good receivers. So now Terry and those guys got to go against a pretty good Miami defense that normally in practice, they'll be in your face there. They get after you a little bit. They can pressure. Jalen Ramsey, they can get after it. So I like to say the skill guys, you know, and then we're going to get to work and it's on both sides of the ball.
Let's be honest, the Olympics just over with and the 4x4 100 didn't go well for the Americans. I could take this Miami team with A-Train and the rest of these guys, Tyreek Hill. Athletically, we will be challenged by these guys. We understand that. And not just not the guys on the outside, it'll also be the guys on the inside. They got some offensive linemen. They just sold up their offensive line. Their defensive line can get after the pass rusher. I think we're going to get more from these practice than we could ever get from the game. I'm not worried about that game. I want to see what goes on in practice with Terry McLaurin going against Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill, Emmanuel Forbes, St. Jude. That's where the game will be won and will be played. It should be exciting. Should be some fireworks in Miami.
And Fred, to your point, right? Because in the preseason, we might not see Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah, he might not.
But you've been that defensive back where you're coming in joint practice saying, okay, I know I'm going to see these guys here, man. What are you looking for from our young secondary going against Waddle, Hill, and these guys?
Not to pull a hamstring.
True that. But I want them to go in here and take it as a challenge. Because believe this defensive backfield, if you can go down to Miami and play with these guys, it ain't nobody in this league you can't run with, you can't play with. All right, so this is a measuring stick for you. All right, at the end of the day, go down here and put these guys on lock. You shouldn't worry about nobody else.
And Tana, Sean mentioned the secondary for Miami, and they have to go against these guys every day, so you know they're ready. What are you looking from our wide receiver core going against Miami's defense?
I mean, you're taking some notes from what you experienced with the Jets. You know what I mean? You already had one of these practices, so you knew how that went. You knew what everybody was saying on social media.
Up and down.
And you know how up and down that was. And so you want to go into this particular joint practice saying, hey, man, we can't go out here half-stepping. I know it might be in practice. It might be wet just like it was up there in New York, but let's go out here and dominate. Every time we get to the line of scrimmage, let's dominate our opponent. So now we can take that confidence and pour it out on the field come game day, because you don't know who's going to be playing. Normally in these games that's coming up, it's going to be more of those guys who's going to probably play week 1.
I'm about to say that.
So with that being, you know, having that in mind, you just got to go out there and win your battle.
And to that point, it's the second week. So now the veteran guys, you're going to get more time. They're going to get an opportunity to really, you know, first preseason game is a dress rehearsal. You go out there and it's like glorified practice. The second game, you don't have three preseason. It's a dress rehearsal, but guys are expecting, like, you're the guys who possibly will start and play week 1 for this team. Let's go out there and perform like that.
But I think you still get more from the practice, because even
you do, right? Yeah, but the game, but the veterans are getting
but the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinators are not willing to show what they're willing to show in practice.
That's true.
So I think that's going to be the determining factor on who plays how much and what you get from the game.
And then one of the things too also about those joint practices, I think you have more on the line in that practice than you do in the preseason game. It's no like, okay, next play. In that practice, you either gonna fight it out or like I gotta say, you end up on somebody's highlight reel on that social media post. So
you got some real one-on-ones in practice, right? So you get to see, right? That's good.
And you talk about playing time. I don't think any of us were surprised to see Jaden Daniels just do one drive, but what he did on that drive, I think got everybody excited. What do you need to see from Jaden Daniels in this week 2 preseason game?
Keep building. I think Cliff Kingsbury did a wonderful job allowing him to come out first. He missed the first screen throw to Eckler, and then
it seemed like he was just hyped up.
He was hyped up.
He overthrew him by 7 yards.
But then he came back. And threw a great pass down the sideline to Diami. The deal is now, let's add. Let's keep building on that. You had a great first preseason, great drive. Now let's keep building on it and give you a quarter, maybe even longer.
I'm a garden guy. When I plant the seeds, I need to see it break the surface before I can start watering. I want to keep on watering him until he blossoms into what he wants to be. And he won't get there this weekend because he's going to get better week in and week out. So I just want to keep watering, and I want to see him keep blossoming.
And Fred mentioned blossoming in that development, so we know what we want to see from Jaden. But I want you guys to go down the line real quick. Who do you want to see most from this week 2 against Miami Dolphins? Who you looking for?
I'm looking for my boy Emmanuel Forbes to get the haters off his back. Because one thing about a defensive back, they love us one day, they hate us the next. Get used to that. That's your life now.
I want to see who emerges like as that potential third running back. Michael Wiley really impressed me. He impressed me, and the reason why, because that guy could also be your kickoff returner, a special teams guy. So I would love to see him get more touches this week. You know, and it may not be the first or second team, but he needs to get a little more touches.
Surprisingly, I'm gonna say offensive line. I want to see these guys play in a more meaningful, game. I think this game you'll probably see more of those guys who are going to be there day one for the Dolphins, on that defensive front line. So I want to see if these group of guys can go out there and say, you know what, let's put a stamp on what we did last week, this week.
A lot of exciting things to see this weekend, man. Football is back, baby. So let's look at some of the details on Saturday's game. The Commanders are on the road for their second straight week, this time for a matchup against the Dolphins. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. at Hard Rock Stadium. You can catch all of this week's preseason action on WUSA 9. Join myself alongside Super Bowl champion Brian Mitchell and Chick Hernandez. Another week of joint practices means another week for big matchups. Excited to see our Commanders crew go up against some strong competition out in South Beach. Now, speaking of strong competitors, we got a few guys on set who know a thing or two about joint practices. It's time for our guys to reminisce on their days in the burgundy and gold. Fellas, makes me sad to say this is the last time all 6 of us will be here together. So to end this show, we're going to play a little game because y'all are all best buds. We want to see how well you guys know each other. We're going to do this joint practice edition. So I'm going to ask some questions. Y'all are going to write the name of y'all co-host, who the answer would be. So only the names of co-hosts, not former teammates and all that. All right, y'all ready?
Are you playing too, Brian?
I'm not playing. I'm asking the questions.
Well, okay? I got you on my board.
Thank you, brother. All right. Who would you want to room with at joint practice? Y'all write it on your boards. Immediately starts laughing. All right, fellas, y'all ready? Yeah. Let's see. Fred, we're going to start with you, and then we're going to go down the line.
All right. By the way, I got everybody's name already on here, so look for the one with the check.
You wrote them down?
Yes, I chill with Logan, because I'm through with London. I've been with Sean too much. Me and Tanner hang every day, so I'm going to run with it.
Look, Tanner, who you got, man?
I got my dog London,
there
man.
We go.
Yeah. Kick a little knowledge to me, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, I'm starting to get offended, man. Nobody picked me.
I'm going to be in Tanner. We're going to rock together.
That's what I'm talking about.
I picked London because I actually learned something in the room with him. So I picked London.
Well, I'm glad nobody picked Sean.
He needs some milk.
Worst teammate ever. Well, John, nobody picked Fred either, so we gonna move forward on that, okay? Yeah, nobody did, man. Logan, we gonna start with you this time and go down the line, okay? Who would oversleep and miss morning meetings out of your
Oh, that's we need to write that down.
I'm kind of feeling it's gonna be unanimous across the board.
No, it's not.
Logan with me.
It was a long night that night.
Sean, what you
Oh, Frederick.
London?
I done came in for a couple of
You should have put me. You should have yourself.
No, that's Fred across the board too. All right. Last question. Now this is a good one.
Oh, man.
Who would make the biggest play in joint practices? Who's gonna have the play that has the whole locker room talking? Fred, I'm gonna start with you.
He know.
I got you.
Since you make all the big plays.
Nah.
I'm going to take out the rest of these. All right. Like my boy say, ain't no iron team, but it is a me. It is a him and me. Me.
Surprising Fred picked himself Tanner, who's making the biggest play.
Say smooth, man.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give smooth some credit.
You said in practice.
I said enjoy practices. That's what I said.
He might make a play in
Tanner
practice.
show true love.
Hey, man, I'm
gonna say Tanner, because think about it.
I'm getting
He gonna go
disrespected.
deep.
I'm getting disrespected.
I made more plays than all of you. Let's get what it is.
He's so hurt.
He knows I'm hurt.
He's so hurt.
think you put me?
I put Tanner.
Why you ain't put yourself?
Nah, because that's automatic. Y'all know it's me. Everybody knows it's me.
I said Fred, actually.
Oh, Logan said Fred Smooth. So Fred, you gonna make the play?
I say mine. Hey, I say mine for the games. Yeah, I say my place for the games.
This is how Sean feeling right now. He's feeling like he left.
You need a couple tears too.
And Commanders family, we know you will miss the whole crew, but don't worry, we'll have more live specials for you all. Until then, catch us on Command Center every Thursday, and we will see y'all Saturday when we take on the Miami Dolphins.
I know what it is. Y'all jealous of me.
I figured out y'all jealous of me.
You're absolutely right.